2K is all about Bibles. We're a graphic design company, and we do other projects as well, but designing Bible typefaces, designing the actual book design and cover design, packaging, doing the typesetting, and even concept development is what we're all about. The company was started 34 years ago, and I talked to my wife. We started it together. I said, this is going to be a very, very small company because we're going to insist in doing every assignment to the very best of our ability, and nobody would like to pay for that. Well, as it turns out, 34 years later, only the very best customers would like to pay for it. But then they'll travel around the world to get to our company. And we so want to appreciate the complexity of the assignments that we can solve, having the very best customers in the world. Well, we have had a very good working relationship with Cambridge for decades. The former pinnacle of our cooperation was redesigning a typeface to typeset the Ruby edition, which is the most sold Bible edition in the world. Still is, I think. Cambridge wanted the Bible to be exactly the same text on every spread as the lead set edition from the 1890s. To create that, we had to design a typeface that could accommodate exactly the same text on the spread. So from that working relationship and being able to create something as complicated as that, I knew that Cambridge was the right partner in realizing an ambitious project like the Baskerville Dore Bible. Well, yeah, I was not more than 6 or 7 years old, and that's back in the 1950s. There was a salesman coming at our door in Copenhagen, and he promoted this subscription possibility of having the Bible with all the Dore illustrations collectively as a subscription where you would get a folio every month. And somehow he managed to persuade my mom and dad. And so we got the first folio, a very interesting one with the beginning of Genesis. They didn't follow up. They didn't continue the subscription. So the only thing I got was the first sheet. And since then, I've been absolutely fascinated by the Dore illustrations. Dore worked in the last part of the 1800s, and that was a period where a lot of different techniques were developing. The Dore art is made from cutting into end wood with sharp tools, and the sheer complexity of that process is very impressive. I think that if anything, the continuous value and of the Dore art is how it conveys the emotional impact that reading the Bible text also gives. It's a perfect match to the drama and the love in the Bible texts. I think that's why it keeps on fascinating and a very large part of Bible readers. I got acquainted with the Dore art already from a very young age. Sort of forgot it until I was walking in Oslo, the capital of Norway, where I went into an antique bookstore. I find myself in antique bookstores pretty often. And there I suddenly stumbled over a first edition print of the Dore illustrations, not together with the Bible, but a book that was only a reproduction of the art. And I was so fascinated, I bought it right away. And bringing it home, I realized that the clarity of the images was so much higher in this first print than in other original prints I've seen. And of course, if you compare it to the reproduction, that has been, the most common thing. You see it everywhere, where Dore art is reproduced. It's reproduced using raster, so little black dots that creates gray tones. But that's not how it was produced. It was produced by inking up this wooden plate and printing either black or not printing at all, so white. And I thought, well, wouldn't it be wonderful if these illustrations could be printed once again just using black and white? And it took about 10 years to refine that technique through the way we scanned the images and then treated it electronically afterwards. And I think that looking at the results, I'm so grateful that we were able to reproduce a quality that assembles this first print that I bought in Oslo. Working with the Dore images, even having the images scanned in this very high quality, was a challenge. It's not like Dore made all the illustrations. Yes, his name is on all of them, but he had a lot of apprentices doing the work. So these illustrations occur differently. So if you even made a program trying to treat the scans the same way, wouldn't give the same result. And working with the Baskerville Dore Bible, we wanted to optimize the quality of all illustrations. And that meant diving into each and every one of them, trying to enhance both the shadow and the light images, which meant often having more scans on top of each other and removing bits that were suitable for the special needs of each and every one of the illustrations. So there's no question that the way these illustrations have been reproduced has never been done before. And I think the results, when you look at the book, I know that not everybody are able to compare it with the original, but you can. And I think the quality is equally good. I will say that this is this is for sure the second best reproduction of the Dore illustrations. The first print being the very best reproduction of the illustration, and this one comes very, very close. We've actually been able to adjust a little bit on the original imaging because we have the advantage of an electronic workflow. But apart from the first print, this is the very best reproduction ever made. There's something monumental about the Baskerville Dore family Bible. All through the process of working with this Bible, it's been like setting up a stone. It's like, communication is a funny thing. Because communication is what we do now when we talk or when we publish a newspaper. But sometimes communication is something much deeper and has a much more lasting value. In Denmark we have this rune stones where they spent half a year in carving my name was whatever. And it's not like I read runes, this typeface, but the sheer respect of the time spent creating these stones mirrors to the importance of the message. So how important was this communication? How important was this message that it was okay to spend half a year and carving it into stone? I think that it's the same thing we've done with the Dore Baskerville Bible. We've spent a lot of time trying to achieve the very best you could get out of the respect of the sheer text itself, the Word of God, and the imagery that's so important to publish alongside the Bible text. This is a job like no other we've ever done in these last more than 30 years creating Bibles. This is more important than a lot of the other Bibles we've made. And I think, we are talking about Baskerville, a great renewer of technology and design. But he published his Bible in 1763. That's 250 years ago. And we are still talking about him. To commemorate the great work he did and Dore did, I think that this Bible will last the next 200 years. It's obvious that when John Baskerville, the king's own printer and publisher at Cambridge University Press, published his folio Bible in 1763, he, on a lot of areas, renewed the Bible tradition. It is, to my knowledge, the first time you have center color reference. Also being able to create a design that included a brand new typeface, a brand new layout and functionality of the Bible, and being able to present that with this beauty, with this quiet authority that shines out of the original Baskerville folio Bible is just amazing. Having the Baskerville Bible in your hand and reading it is a sheer pleasure even today. So it's a tall order to try to renew that tradition. But that's what we've been trying to achieve. I think everybody knows the Baskerville typeface. Maybe not by name, but I think all through the last century, it was either Times New Roman or Baskerville that all literature was typeset with. So everybody has this feeling that if it wasn't Times, it was something better, and this better was Baskerville. It's got some obvious qualities. It's a child of its time. It was made in the Rococo area, so middle of the 1700s. And if you look at furniture or at buildings from the same period, it has got this significance, certain qualities, and the Baskerville typeface carry all of these qualities. But at the same time, it's a new, unique blend of aesthetics and readability. It's so recognizable and at the same time so readable. And I think it's the most significant typeface of its time. Being the most significant typeface of its time is unique, but being used 250 years after it was created is very special. It talks for the high qualities of the design of the typeface. Well, I don't know of any typeface that's been copied so many times. It might be the Helvetica, but after that, maybe the Baskerville is the one with the most different designs out there. Everybody would want a Baskerville typeface, and some of them are okay, and some of them are not. It was not before we found the typeface designed by Lars Bergqvist that we knew we had the right typeface. It's crisp, and it's clear, and it's an interpretation of the Baskerville typeface, but it's so close to the original that I think it's kept all the qualities and even added a few new ones. This Baskerville Bible, I think that John would have approved of it. The challenge of this project is, of course, the size of it. I introduced this idea, this concept, for Cambridge University Press 10 years ago. So working 10 years with one project is unusual. Having the book in hand made it all worthwhile. The challenge here, the challenges through the project, the biggest challenge was the correction of the Dore illustrations. Although we scanned it in 2,400 dpi, which is a lot more than you need, actually extracting that and getting the quality to be able to print the illustration in black and white was a first-time job. We never done that before to this extent, but I think we created an imagery that when in the Lego printing looks just as good as the original. So that's a challenge. Of course, creating the design as both a very readable Bible and a very beautiful Bible is also so important. And without the cooperation between the Cambridge University Press staff and 2K, we wouldn't have reached the point where we have a Bible that will last for centuries. To design a cover for a Bible is either very easy, you make it black and put a cross on, or it's very difficult, because then you have to invent something that both represents the Bible, doesn't scare people away, but also sort of represents something new. Creating the blue and orange cover for the Dore Bible, we looked at the illustration, and although these 150-year illustrations are made in a completely other technique, they have the durability of creating a contemporary design, we thought. So we enlarged the images and created this abstract that still has, or even more, has the handwork of the actual cutting in wood, and shows that closer up. So it's sort of an introduction to the wonderful illustrations inside, and it's a representation of the technique of how they were made. We took those, and of course, creating something new is a lot of experimenting, and we thought, well, we got sort of more and more adventurous in our color choices, and we were so happy when Cambridge University Press choose the orange and blue version, because it's so contemporary, and I think that it gives a very modern take on something that's everlasting. When you look at the illustrations, and of course the text, it's everlasting. And to combine something contemporary with an everlasting feel, I think that's what we've achieved. Well, that's one thing you could say about packaging. Show everything on the tin, so show what's inside. And of course we want to do that, but this is a 3-part publication. You have the contemporary blue and orange design, and it's obvious that we want to repeat that on the packaging. But there's also 2 leather-bound editions, a very exclusive brown packaging and the leather black edition. And for those, I think it was important the same way to show what's inside. So bringing for the black edition, having the imagery from the Dore illustrations, but treated in a way that it was suitable for a cover is important. Also, adding the gold color makes it very, very to the point. I would say it's a luxury Bible should be recognizable of the qualities it represents. And I think that's what we've achieved for the packaging for both the leather editions. I'm sure that when you buy the leather edition, you will be proud to have it visible in your home. And that goes for both the packaging and the book itself. It's obvious when you do Bibles, you work with something valuable. Reading the Bible changes lives. So every day being able to be a part of the publication of Bible is a gift. But being involved in the Baskerville Dore Bible is a once-in-a-lifetime experience. Its importance and its quality supersedes anything else I've done. If I had one ambition at the graphic university I went to, was maybe to just once make something that would have a lasting impact. And I think I just did. I think that the Dore Baskerville will be something that has a very long lifespan. And I hope that it'll bring people to realize the stories in the Bible and read more. And I know, because I know these illustrations, as I told from a very young age, I know that these illustrations never lose their appeal. They never lose the power of inspiring for more Bible reading. And the quality this Bible has been created with the printing, the paper, the binding styles. I'm sure that this Bible will be on the market for a long time, and I am sure that it will inspire a lot of people reading more of the Bible.